Oh yes, this is going to be a weird one. Naruto the movie. It was intense, I'll give it that. Speaking as somebody who loved Naruto way back when it first started and then grew bored of the storyline, like shortly after Shippuden started, there was too many fillers, the storyline was being dragged out, Naruto versus Sasuke wasn't a thing that I was as interested in as they obviously thought I was going to be as an audience member. And I don't know, I just grew bored of it and then dropped the series. And then I've come back and watched this movie and I've been like, God damn, I missed this show. Some bits of it were incredible. Other bits reminded me why I dropped it. So for me, this was quite a nostalgia bomb, seeing characters that I'd pretty much given up on years ago and loved years before that. It was weird seeing them back on the screen and actually being interested in them again. And one of the main things that I was interested in was the romance between Naruto and Hinata. And god damn, that's literally what this movie was about the whole time. It's a little bit sad the way the romance played out in this movie. It just feels like a whole lot happened in such a small amount of time that it just didn't feel realistic. It's like when two characters meet at the beginning of a movie and fall in love by the end of it, and you're like, well, that's just kind of stupid. They've only known each other for like a full day. Disney princess logic. But in this case, they've known each other for pretty much their whole life. But Naruto never really showed any romantic interest in Hinata. And then in this one, he just sees into her heart and sees all the feelings she's had for him over the years. And that suddenly makes him fall in love with her, just because he knows how much that she loved her. So that's kind of sweet, but it would have been nicer if they had slowly grown together throughout the anime rather than rushing it all in one movie. In my opinion. It was still great, it was still kind of sweet, it was just... From Naruto going from not really being interested in Hinata at the beginning of the movie to halfway through the movie, most of his lines being him screaming, Hinata! Even while he's asleep being like, Hinata, Hinata, Hinata. It's like, dude, grow a pair, you're a man. You didn't even care about the chick 2 hours ago. Calm down. But it was fun, I'm not gonna lie. And it was very sweet seeing them get together, and honestly, most of this movie was just like a shipper's fantasy. Anyone who shipped Naruto and Hinata were probably fangasming throughout 90% of this film. And I did ship those two as well, because Hinata was just so sweet throughout Naruto. And I was really annoyed that Naruto never made a move on her throughout the whole time that I was watching it. And so this did kind of help with that for me. So I can see why a lot of people are loving this movie as much as they are. And like I said, the fight scenes were incredible. Like, it wasn't to the boring Naruto standard that most fight scenes in Naruto had become full of quality while I was watching it. Obviously because they had the higher budget for the movie, but my god, they were so amazing. They were doing actual martial arts, flipping around and kicking each other like they really should be as ninjas. Whereas most of the time, it was just kind of running at each other, throwing beams at each other. It had the whole problem of Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, where in Dragon Ball they were all using realistic martial arts, and then they started to learn beam attacks and flying later on, and then in Dragon Ball Z it was basically people yelling at each other, powering up, and then shooting blasts at each other and screaming their heads off. It was never really fighting anymore. And that's what Naruto slowly started to become with all the different forms of Rasengan and just that kind of stuff. So in this one, it was nice to see them doing a lot more fighting. They still did have the big hyper beam attack things, but they weren't used as often as they were in the show. Whereas in the show, every one attack would be that. In this one, they did a lot of proper fighting, well-animated fighting, and then pulled out the beams. It was awesome. But among that was a lot of silliness. Like, I know I haven't watched this in a long time, but he summoned the QB like he was summoning a mecha. That was really weird to me. Like, I'm sure there was some big, long arc in which he learned to do that in the anime. But it just looked so stupid. The QB was walking around on, like, a humanoid body. It just looked so dumb. Oh my god. I know I haven't watched this in a long time, but that just looked stupid as shit. I'm sorry. Oh, and the bad guy in this was actually kind of awesome. He was completely psychotic and obsessed over Hinata, as he would be because the story needs to dictate it. Because, hey, now that Naruto's in love with Hinata, there needs to be a love rival, right? But yeah, he was a pretty cool character. I liked his design. His complete insanity was believable. Because hey, he lived on the moon by himself his whole life. And he was insanely powerful. So he was a pretty good bad guy to have Naruto go against. One thing I didn't like was that they're fighting this guy who's able to destroy the Earth, and yet nobody's fighting him except for Naruto. They had a 5-member team up there to go against him, and yet everybody else was just kind of watching Naruto do the fight. Hinata powered Naruto up once or twice by using her own chakra. But, I mean, there are other shinobi. They're not on the same level as Naruto, but they could have helped. My god. They were off dealing with the smaller fry, but once they were done with that, there was even a scene where Naruto literally put his arm out to say, "Nah, I got this, guys. You guys just wait. I'll finish this. I'm too cool." So, yeah. And I mean, Hinata's supposed to be an amazing badass herself, but in this, she was just getting dragged around the whole time. Saved by Naruto, lifted up by Naruto, carried by Naruto, pulled by the bad guy, moved around by the bad guy, mind controlled by the bad guy, slammed against the wall by the bad guy. It just made her feel like a damsel in distress, which just, I don't know, kills my view of Hinata, really. Still, very good movie. I'm not even going to lie. I'm going to give it a rating of 7 out of 10. Because it had some amazing scenes, but it also had a bunch of scenes that made me go, eh? And to be fair, I'm giving it some slack in that I hadn't seen Naruto for a good, probably half of its runtime. So the fact that I understood as much as I did was good. And I'm sure that people that had watched the whole thing would have understood it a lot more than me. It just felt a little weird having this huge world-ending crisis, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, they even had some nostalgia for the Sasuke fans. Sasuke showed up to blow up a giant boulder that was about to kill everyone, saving the town. Basically saying, when Naruto's not around, I'll still be here to protect you guys. Which was cool. But, I mean, weird. Weird. I'm not going to lie, there was one scene that really hit me hard. Like, it was romantic when they had their first kiss and everything. And it was cute when they were like, when Naruto was carrying her and stuff. That was good. But the scene that really got me was while the credits were playing and they were showing the wedding. And then you see Iruka Sensei there with Naruto practically crying. And he even attaches the flower for Naruto. It's so sweet. That guy was basically like Naruto's dad by the end of this series. It's just so adorable. And so that really got me. I teared up on that. That nostalgia bombed me right in the heart. It was just so awesome. So yeah, 7 out of 10. It was definitely worth watching. It's a good sign for anime movies to come, quite frankly. Because it used to be anime movies were just stupid, big budget versions of an episode that just made no sense to the rest of the series. This one actually felt like it was a good ending for the series. Even though it had one focused plot which was a little bit contradictory to the series, it still felt like a good epilogue to me. So, definitely watch this one if you watched Naruto at all. If you did not watch Naruto at all, don't go near it. You'll be so confused, you won't know what's going on. But you might enjoy the romance, I don't know. So, thanks for listening, guys. Leave a like to let me know that you enjoyed this, and subscribe if you haven't to see more anime reviews. And I will see you next time.